Hello guys, today we're gonna be doing something slightly different. I've done it before and it looks pretty cool, so I thought I'm gonna make a video for you so you could try to do for your Speedo as well. What it is, basically, I'm gonna be taking my Speedo out of this car. This is my other car, and what I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna be replacing orange display and orange lighting in my Speedo on the clocks and stuff into a blue LEDs, so everything is gonna be blue out. So yeah, I hope you're gonna enjoy this video. I hope you're gonna find it interesting, and I hope maybe some of you gonna even try to do it with you can use all sorts of different LEDs. You can use blue, red, green, white, whatever is your, I've seen loads of different Speedos done in loads of different ways. You can also get custom made papers around the clocks, and yeah, just customize your Speedo in many ways you want. But the thing is, what we're gonna try to cover today is just changing a LED in the Speedo of Peugeot 407 and making a different, fresh look for it. Right, so let's take the Speedo out, shall we? Right, first thing you want to do, you want to move your steering wheel downwards a little bit, because it's adjustable steering wheel, so you can move it down a little bit just to have tiny bit more space. Turn the ignition off. We don't really need to disconnect the battery. That's Speedo. That's not gonna cause you any fault or anything. Okay guys, one thing to show you now before we take a Speedo off is it's little tiny holes. It's one here, one in the middle, and one here. Okay, on this side. I hope you can see it. It's not much light here, I'm sorry for that. What I want to do, I want to put something like hex key in the middle, just to wedge my Speedo tiny bit without breaking it or anything. So once I put my hex key in the top there, what I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna put something like door card remover or whatever to actually wedge my Speedo tiny bit. And as you can see now, once I wedge the top of my Speedo tiny bit, what I can do now is I can take my Speedo and pull it a bit further down. Try to be careful not to scratch the front of it, because otherwise you're gonna have to scratch the front or replace the plastic on the front. Now I can pull it through my driver's side, and what you can see here is only one connector. So what you have to do here is just press it, and this black clip, just pull it. Now hold your Speedo and just pull it a little bit, and here you have your Speedo is out now, so you can take it home and start to work on it. Right, so as you can see guys, I just brought my Speedo home. So I literally have my Speedo here. I'm also gonna need soldering iron, a bit of soldering material. I'm gonna need a couple of like a small screwdrivers, like really small, or just something like a little metal from like a key ring, and I'll show you later why. Yeah, so let's crack on with dismantling the Speedo first. Right, so as you can see, this whole plastic around the Speedo is clipped on by 1, 2, 3, 4 clip points on the bottom, and it's clipped on by 1, 2, and 3 and 4 clip points on the top. So what you want to do, you have to literally prime it a little bit in one of the corners like this. I would start from the top, so just prime them, push. What I'm doing is I'm pushing this slightly in so that it would go behind this black wedge, so basically I could, just be on this side. So once I've edged my top up a little bit by pressing these little clips off their place here, so they would go through the inside of the black plastic. What I'm doing now here, I'm gonna be holding this little clip here so that the top doesn't go back in a place. I'm gonna slowly try to wedge the bottom and slowly try to pull the Speedo out of his housing. So just gonna try to do that. Okay, I think we nearly got it. It's one more one, which just take your time and literally just, here you go, it come off. Right, so now we have Speedo, which is looking like this. I'll show you now. Right, so now we have a Speedo. It looks like that because this part of a Speedo come out. Normally doesn't come out. What normally happens, this one stays here. So you have a Speedo like this, and you have a glass top cover removed, as you can see. So I'll put that away for now. This one here literally normally just lifts up like this, so you're not gonna need this one at the moment as well. I've done some customizations before in the past where I literally paint this in my favorite colors, and then it looks pretty cool, but we're not gonna do that today. We're gonna literally just change the LEDs in the Speedo. Okay, so what I want to do next is I want to remove these clock needles out of this, away from a Speedo. I just want to take them off. So it comes off pretty easy. You can just like that pull it. You take it, your fingers like this, and just literally pull it, and as you can see, the clock needles just comes off. 3, 4, 5. So 5 clock speed needles are off. What you can do now is you can remove this paper here. You can remove this. I have made before some custom made ones, so I'm gonna show you. Like, this is a funny one. It's just a blue one, as you can see, and when you put on your little plastic here, as you can see, it looks pretty cool. There is loads of companies in Facebook and stuff like that which does customized proper dial sheets, and it looks really cool. But you can also alternatively do your own with your own drawing to make your personal touch. So it's entirely up to you. But anyway, let's crack on. Now you can see the Speedo. You can see the screen, you can see the LEDs you're gonna need to change. So for this dial, you're gonna need to change that one LED. For this dial, it's 4 LEDs. 1 LED for smaller dial, 4 LEDs for bigger dial, 1 LED. That's just for the dials, the clocks. And we also gonna need to change quite a few LEDs inside of this screen to make it blue. What the screen does in 407, it has 2 types of LEDs. It has orange and red, because when you have some sort of issue with cars, sometimes your middle display comes up as red. So we're gonna leave red LEDs inside. We're just gonna be replacing the orange ones. So little thing to do next, these little pops here, they just pop out. We're gonna put them on the side somewhere as well. You just pull them and they nicely come off like this. As we can see here now, the Speedo is basically looking at you like this. So what you want to do, you want to turn around, you want to have a look. There is 1, 2, 3, 4 points on the back of a Speedo where it's holding it. So if you literally wedge these tiny little bit, what you're going to be able to do, you're going to be able to undo your Speedo tiny bit. As you can see, I'm wedging them tiny bit with my bare fingers. And what is happening here, so as you can see, once I lift these little clips off up a little bit on the top, 4 of them, I managed to wedge my top tiny little bit. What I want to do now is I want to pull my microsym up tiny little bit, and what's going to happen once I pull them up a little bit, I'm going to be able to separate this plastic from this Speedo microscheme, which we need to work on. So now we have a Speedo microscheme on and ready for the work. Right, what I want to do now, I want to mark up which LEDs I'm gonna need to replace. So I put this back on top just a tiny little bit, but I don't clip nothing back on. And what I look at, I just put a little black dot on a LEDs which gonna need to be replaced. So I put dot on all of them, 4 of here, 1 here, 4 here, because these gonna go anyway. I'm gonna replace them and throw them away. It's not gonna be no good after that. So this is just for my clocks, and then we gonna proceed with our screen ones as well. But you marked literally 1 here, 4 of these, 1, 4, 1. So that's, you have altogether 11 LEDs just for the clocks. So now I can see where my marked up LEDs are. I can literally just circle around them or something, just so I would not get confused and change the LEDs I don't need. So I'm literally just marking them up a little bit. It's not gonna do nothing. So 1, 2, 3, 4 here. The 5th one was there. Here. 6th one is here. 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So I have kind of marked up my LEDs now, which I need to replace. Okay, what I want to be doing next, I want to mark up these little white things here. I'm gonna be taking them off. So that's basically the little motors which runs your dials. So I'm gonna be marking them with my permanent marker as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So when I'm gonna be taking them out and putting them back, I know in which order I'm gonna be putting them back, because I don't wanna really swap them around. I just wanna make sure I put them back in the same place, if that makes sense. So what I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna be turning this to the other side once again, and then as you can see here, I hope you can see, it's two little clips here for one of them. So what you have to do, you have to use something like tiny screwdriver like this to press the middles in, because what that's gonna allow you to do is gonna literally allow you to push these a little bit like this with your fingers, or like a little tiny pliers. And what you're gonna do when you turn it around again now, you can actually just take it off like this and just put it somewhere safe as a number 1. I'm gonna do this with all 5 now. So I'm gonna literally turn around. I'm gonna pop them little middles and literally do them up a little, push them up a little bit inside the thing. Turn them around. Take it off. Okay. Alright, so that's the second one. I'm gonna do that with all 5. So now, as you can see, the board haven't got these low motors for the needles of dials. Alright, so I'm gonna be next removing this whole screen. First thing you want to do, you want to disconnect the connector. I hope you can see. It's a tiny little black sides which lifts up a little bit from both sides. And once they are lifted up like this, what you can do with a screen plug, you can just disconnect it, just pull it out like this, and then you turn your microscheme around, and it only holds on 3 little clips. 1, 2, 3. So the screen is only on 3 clips. what you want to do, you want to literally just take it off like this, and that is your screen. Okay, so screen is gonna go, stay safe. And as you can see under the screen, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 16 LEDs, but only 8 of them is orange, which we need to change, and another 8 of them is red, which we're gonna leave because we're gonna need them to be red once we have serious fault with a car or whatever. If you want that little screen to go red, so we're just gonna leave that. So I have worked out which ones are gonna need to replace, and I'm gonna show you in a second. I'll show you how I worked out. As you can see on this picture here on my phone, this shows you how funny way the orange LEDs are under the screen sitting. So I'm gonna mark it up now on an actual micro scan and show you. So the orange LEDs which needs replacement, I hope you can see, is this one on this side and this one on this side. Then it jumps to that side on a second row is these two, and then again back jumps to this side on a third row, and on a fourth row we have it back on this side. So 8 LEDs which we need to replace it, which we need to remove and replace it. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna crack on, heat up our soldering iron and remove these all marked up LEDs. Just one thing to mention, LEDs in here is different from LEDs here. These LEDs are only 2 connections, where these LEDs are 4 connections. But I found a way how to actually make them work, because what happens on these 4 connection LEDs is they have one which is like positive, and 3 of their legs is actually negative. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna chop one leg off, and then we're gonna connect them on positive and negative in that way, using exactly same LEDs, not buying like different LEDs just specifically for it. If you want to buy specific LEDs, you can buy the ones with 4 little tiny legs, but I'm using the ones with only 2 legs, so I'm just gonna have to work my way around that. So right, maybe I'm gonna start from all this, literally desoldering all the 11 LEDs, which is for the dials, and then I'm gonna leave the screen LEDs for later. Right, so I'm gonna try to show you as best as I can. You can see I have marked the LED around it. What I'm gonna be doing now is just gonna desolder it with my soldering iron. I'm gonna be just heating it up one of the sides a little bit. These LEDs is gonna be no good probably after I'm done with them. Oh, okay, and it popped. So as you can see, right, one of the sides is now desoldered. Okay, so the LED is like this. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna show you. I'm just gonna do same from other side. I'm just gonna try to warm the other side up a little bit, so I could literally just remove it, and here you go, it just come off like that. Removing the old LED is not a big deal. It's quite easy job and it doesn't take that much time. The time you have to put in it, it comes when you have to solder back the new LEDs, and that is totally different because it's quite a tricky access all over here, and it's just a tiny space, tiny LEDs. It's only like 3.5 millimeter on 2.8 millimeter LEDs, so they're quite tiny. That's why I'm using these little, grippers just to do it all up. So I'll show you how to remove the one LED. Now I'm just gonna do quickly all of them, and we're gonna carry on with a new LED installment. Okay guys, so as you can see, now we have resoldered those 11 LEDs which was here marked up. As you can see, all of them spaces I have marked up, which I need to change it. They all have been desoldered now, and you can see a tiny little LEDs all over my little table kind of thing. So this is type of the LEDs they use, little orange LEDs, and basically these are gonna go to a bin. Okay, so this is the LEDs I'm gonna be using. I ordered it from eBay. It only cost me £3 for 25 LEDs, and basically it's blue color. It's series 3, 5 to 8, and it's 3.5 millimeter on 2.8 millimeter, and that's the one. So I'm gonna try to put a link for the LEDs on a description section of my video, so if you fancy to do the kind of same job, you can always go there and just order yourself some cheap LEDs, which will do the job just fine. Okay, so I'm gonna take these LEDs, I'm gonna move the little cling film off, like 4 or 5 of them. I'm gonna just pop them here quickly. I know this is my new ones, so basically that's where I want them to be. Now, right guys, so before we install the new LEDs onto your Speedo dial, Speedo microscam, I just wanted to explain something quickly which you can use like in the future as well. So basically any LED, even these small tiny LEDs, right, if you look close up, what it has one triangle on one of the corners. Okay, it's like a little bit is cut off, you know. So I just want to explain what that means. Basically what that means is that it's negative. So, and other side is gonna have to be positive. If you find in microscams, it's gonna be most of the time written as C and A. C stands for cathode, stands for negative, and A stands for anode, stands for positive. So if I have a LED like this, right, basically this side is gonna stay positive. This side, because on this side of a LED I have this little triangle cut out kind of marking, this is gonna be my negative. Sometimes, right guys, so I didn't know what's the best way to show you which way to solder your LED, so I made this little drawing because my camera doesn't really catch up from close up so well. Basically, when you have a LED, tiny little LED, as I told you, one corner is marked a little bit. So if you look at a microscam like this, like if you would look at your Speedo, your LEDs, when you solder them on, has to look like that. The corner is in the top right hand corner. The marking little triangle on a LED is on the top right hand corner. In that way, your LED, once it's soldered, definitely gonna work and do the job, because the positives and negatives are in the right places. So in this case, we have negative on the top, we have positives on the bottom. So that's for those 11 LEDs around your dials. Negative is on the top, positive is on the bottom. Negative is marked with a little triangle corner cut kind of in on a LED. Okay, so I hope that's clear enough. If you struggle with finding out where is like your negative, where is positive or anything, drop me a comment down below. I'm gonna be more than happy to help you with that. What I'm gonna be doing now, I'm gonna be literally taking those all 11 LEDs. It's gonna take me quite a while, and it's gonna take you quite a while, but all 11 LEDs has to be literally placed back in the places, because I have 11 to go just for the dials. Nobody said it's gonna be easy, so I'm soldering my other ones now. I have still like 10 more to go. So yeah, if you have enough of the soldering iron on a contact, just use that. If you're missing some, if you think you're gonna need a bit more, then use a little bit of extra and just, you know, take a little bit and add it up. I'm not a professional solderer. I barely ever worked on a microscam, so I just use like small things like that just to keep me going sometimes, just to invent something new. But it's not my cup of tea. It's very, you know, very job which requires time, and job which requires like detail and effort really. But it's doable. It's definitely doable. I've done a few dials before, and yeah, everybody can do it with a little bit of effort. My hands is a bit shaky. So second one is done. I'm just gonna grab another one. It'll take your time, but this kind of job you want to do some day when you know you're not gonna need a car for a little while, and you have that time to spare. Then you can just relax, take your time, and do it. That's the only way. Right, so what I have done now, I have done 11 of my LEDs for my dials, which is just a simple negative positive LEDs. So it's 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna quickly pop to my car, plug this micro SIM into the connection, turn my headlights on, and if my headlights work, if these LEDs works, once I turn my headlights on, they're gonna be all blue. I quickly come back to my car because I want to show you something. I've done those 11 LEDs on the micro SIM. Nothing's gonna happen if I'm just gonna connect this connector back into the micro SIM and literally try to turn the headlights on. So I'm connecting it back again just for spray. As you can see, my thingy, my screen LEDs are working. Now I'm just gonna turn ignition. I'm gonna stick my keys in a car, turn my ignition on, as you can see, and now I'm gonna turn on my headlights, and if everything is right, 11 LEDs, blue LEDs will shine up. And look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All working, all blue, all beautiful. Now we're gonna be replacing them orange LEDs under the screen into the blue ones as well. So let's crack on. So now, as you could see, quick check if all my 11 LEDs are working. They're working. I checked in the car. Now we're gonna crack on with these 8 LEDs, which is basically, I have marked up here, as you can see, 2 on this side, 2 on that side, 2 on this side, 2 on that side. These LEDs are different. It's a slightly different game here. LEDs here have 4 connectors, and it's other way around. So basically, negative now is in the bottom. So when you take, if you want to use the same LEDs, if you take the LED you used for your clocks, you have to place it upside down to be like this, and then you're gonna have your positive on the top, negative on the bottom. But the problem is, when you look at the board, once you resolder your LEDs, which was there before, what you're gonna see is you're gonna see a 4 little parts, 4 little connection places where you need to solder. So what you need to do, and what I've done, I've basically put a tiny bit of tape, just a tiny bit of tape to cover this area. I took as much stuff off it as I could, and with a black tape I literally covered this area. So now what I had left, I had a negative on one side, right, and a positive on the top. So top of a Speedo, that was my positive. Bottom, if you look like straight into your Speedo, opposite you, bottom is negative. So what I've done, if you look at the LED here, the little marking triangle ends up on a left bottom of the LED, and here I put a tape, so I solder only to this side here. That's where I've soldered the top to the positive, and I've soldered these two to the negative to be my negative, and then the LED worked absolutely fine. If you have a chance to buy a correct LEDs with a 4 connections, then do it. I didn't want to bother. I know I can do it with normal 2 connection LEDs, so I've done it just that. So yeah, that's how I've done it. I hope if you have any questions, please comment and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. I'm gonna show you guys now is I'm just gonna be taking off the LEDs which we need to remove in order to install new LEDs under my screen, under my little display on my Speedo. So I'm gonna be taking them off first. I just wanna solder them off. They have a 4 tiny connections, so it's slightly tiny bit harder with them, but with a bit of patience and a bit of should be able to do it. Okay, so I do one side. I'm doing one side off at a time on all of them. And then I'm desoldering, unsoldering, whatever, basically taking them off from other side as well. So that, as you can see now, I unsoldered, basically, I'm not sure what's correct term to use, but I unsolder most of them from one side. Now I'm just gonna be unsoldering them from other side, so they're gonna be nicely coming off. Here you go. So now what we have is 8 of them out of the places, and the 8 which is left, that's actually the red LED. Okay guys, what we're gonna do here now, we're gonna just take a bit of electric tape. I'm gonna cut it into like a small squares. Some of the small squares I'm gonna prepare. What I'm gonna do with these squares, I'm gonna put them on, I'm gonna put them on each top I'm gonna cover the connection which is on the top right hand side. So just take a small 8 pieces of tape and just put on each place where is lead on the top right connection. So that's what I'm gonna be doing now. I'm gonna literally take them and try to do which ones are better, is easiest ones first. I'm just gonna put a bit of, quite a chunk on of a tape on each one of them. And hopefully that's going to do the job. Okay, so some of them is going to be harder to get. And hopefully that will do the job. Okay. So 4 of them is very easy. You can use the chunky bits. 4 of them is going to be a tiny bit harder. So you're going to have to use tiny bit smaller bits. But either way, I'm doing this because I'm using a normal 2-way LEDs, so I kind of need to do it because otherwise I'm not going to be able to place my LEDs and it's going to shorten the LEDs up. Right. So I'm going to push the LED, as you can see. Hopefully that's going to insulate them quite well. Right, now that should do the job. So we have, you see, I have placed a bit of black electric tape on the top right corner of the connectors in those 8 places, as you can see. So I hope that's gonna work well. What I'm gonna be doing now, so I'm gonna take my LEDs and I'm gonna try to solder them on. So I'm gonna do all 8 of them, and then we're gonna go to my car and try to test them before we put everything together, make sure that all the connections works fine. Okay guys, so as you can see now, I have soldered all 8 LEDs onto the under the screen, and I'm gonna go back in a car, plug the microscam on, make sure it's all working, and if everything is working as I want it to work, then I'm gonna be putting everything back together and having myself a nice little display with blue lights. I'm in my car. I just connected the board back to the connector. My board likes microscam of Speedo. This is the moment of truth. So I'm gonna stick my key in ignition. I'm gonna twist it, and here you go. All the display lights are on, and all the blue LED lights where it's supposed to be for the clocks and that, they're all working fine. So what we're gonna be doing now is we're gonna be doing, okay, so looks like, right, interesting, looks like the third row of display lights is a bit glitchy, but nevertheless I'm sure I installed the LEDs right, so it must be somewhere else. So what we're gonna be doing now, we're gonna be putting everything back together and see how it looks like once it's all back together. On a table at home, nice and warm. We're gonna have to put the Speedo back together now. So I'm starting my Speedo back together from these little things here. What I'm doing, just I pop these tiny bit so it's better contact. Okay, what I'm gonna be doing now, I'm just gonna be, I know this is number 5, so this one is gonna go here nicely like this. It just clips in, and what I'm doing after it clips in, I'm just using, or probably best to use something like this, just to click those middles a little bit in, so that it doesn't come out. It clips in nicely, because in here you want them little things to be up to the top of here. So you can even, I can even use like, I don't know, something just like this, whatever. So what I'm doing, I'm holding a finger from other side, make sure it don't come through, and then push them a little bit, and then they are nicely in place. So that's one. I'm gonna do second one now, just the contacts up a little bit like this. Stick a second one on. Right, let's have a look at you. Right, now the same thing, holding a finger from other side, just push them little things here, it's a little holes, it pushes your clips, so the things clips in back nicely. Third one we have is here, same thing, like do that all on all 5. And then just stick them things back in. There you go, holds nice. Number 2. Beautiful. And finally number 1. Okay, all of my little needle motors are back in. What I want to do next, I want to install this screen back on. Just want to give a little nice clean with microfiber cloth or something. Nice. So now, first thing you want to do, you want to pop this little black clip back up a little bit. Stick your micro CM connector, stick it nicely in, and then clip the screen back in a place as it should be. So the screen is back in a place. Now a little black connector, once it's clipped back in, little black connector is gonna have to go back nicely as well. Gonna go like this and clip the little black connector back in, and that's it. That's your screen now plugged. Let's give another wipe with a microfiber cloth, because you're gonna be touching it, so obviously it's gonna be fingerprints left here and stuff. So I'll just tidy up a little bit. Alright, that looks good enough. Yeah, that's right. What we're gonna do next, we're gonna be installing these 2 little fellas here. Well, not necessarily now, actually leave it. What we're gonna be doing now is we're gonna be putting this one back onto the microscam. So as you can see here, I'm putting it back now. So the way it's gonna go, so you have to turn it around, you have to lift it up a little bit, make sure it goes behind these things, and then try to press top a little bit, and it just clips nicely on. There you go, clips, everything clips nicely back on. You have your Speedo back to this one with all the different LEDs back in. So what you're gonna have to do next, you're gonna have to put these things back on in these places. There we go, don't know how they're called. So these little pom-poms are back in. So what we want to do next now is you want to install either your original or custom made or whatever, this little paper, dial paper. So I don't know, I have another one like I showed you. I have this one as well, but I'm gonna be just putting this one back in probably. And this one, it has a little match holes, so it matches up, it has to match up here in the hole. Then you clip it in around like around here, then you clip it in around here, matches up here nicely, as it should be. Perfect. Right, next thing to do, you wanna put your dials back on. So your dials back to the same position. Just gonna go around here, adjust it. Sometimes when you do dials, what's gonna happen is sometimes they can be a bit off. So if you want to mark the place up on a dial before you take it off the actual, you know, little dial thing, then that's fine. It's purely up to you. It's not going to be off by a lot anyway. Right, we have here small dials now. Small dial here. Okay, so I've done all these little dials. Now I'm gonna do this dial here. Once all my dials back in place, and I think they should be in this place, make sure the dials is not obstructed by anything and it can move freely. What you want to do next is you want to put this one back on. This one normally just goes in on top nicely, and yeah, it's gonna hold itself here because of the other housings we're gonna put on top. So now your dial looks like this. Yeah, is you wanna put it back in this one. You might wanna clean it up, the glass, for yourself. This one is being used and abused a little bit, tiny bit scratches, whatever. I'm not gonna really be bothered to clean it. I've just made it, you know, this video for you guys as my Speedo I'm using on both of my cars. Both Speedos are done. So this is guys, this is for you. Right, so we have clips here, clips there, 4 clips on the bottom, 4 clips on the top, as you can see. And now your Speedo is ready to go. It has a new LEDs inside, behind the little display, behind the dials. It should look totally different once it's in a car. So we're gonna go and try to see how it looks. You're not gonna be able to see here very well, but I'm putting my connection back in it one more time. Right, and as you can see, the dials is blue, and now we're gonna check the Speedo. The Speedo is all blue. Yeah, I hope you can see well. Speedo has been changed. I'm gonna turn off this light. Now it's all blue dials, blue and red. Looks beautiful. You can adjust your brightness. You can make it brighter, you can make it dimmer. I'm not sure if you can see it through the camera properly, but for me, looking from a driver's seat, I can see everything, my mileage, everything. It's proper. I ain't got no problem with that. So that's quite cool. That's all good. You know what I mean? It looks really good. I hope it looks good for you too. And I hope if you want to do it, you can follow the steps I've done and just do it. So If you enjoy this video, guys, please subscribe my channel. I'm really trying to reach now 200 subscribers, and there's gonna be plenty of videos to come. Thank you for watching.